Well, it was a warm summer afternoon in Montreal, Canada. It's a beautiful place to be in the summer unless you drive, because that's the only time they can do construction. But if you walk in a park, it's a beautiful place. And I'm in a mastermind room in 2016. I'm there with a very smart marketer, someone I want to introduce you to, Danny Einey, his wife, and about 15 other people who are masterminders. It's a high-end mastermind, a lot of high bandwidth thinkers. And we were talking about our unique abilities, and I never thought of selling being my unique ability. I've thought of marketing, but not so much selling, because that's just a transactional growth or outgrowth of marketing, right? And so I was just giving my principles to them and teaching them. I used a flip chart, and they just wanted to hear more. And this was something that I'd taken for granted, yet it was new to them. And these guys were smarter than I was. I felt like I was the dumbest person in the room. So the reason I decided to pursue what I was teaching as a way to teach others is that selling is not selling, really. Jeffrey Gitomer says, and I know he's a colleague, he's been in National Speakers Association and great author. He teaches selling. He said, people hate to be sold, but people love to buy. So if you can put people in a buying environment, like we did at One Day to Greatness, I mean, we did 4 of them. I understand we're going to do maybe a few more later this year. We weren't pushing them. We weren't manipulating. We were seeding through storytelling. And then that's the new selling. Now, I don't think it's the new selling. It's the old selling. I mean, Jesus did it. Muhammad did it. Buddha did it. Mahatma Gandhi did it. They would seed their principles through storytelling. And as a result, I thought, okay, why would this be relevant to a trainer, to a coach, a consultant, any service professional? You could be a dentist, chiropractor, financial services, lawn care professional. And what came up is, you don't know it, but Patty knows this. You were my first premium client. You're my first $25,000 client. I came to your house where your office is, and Lisa, your marketing director, and Patty, CEO, or I think she's president, or I don't know what her role is, but she's been with you for over 24 years. We did some flip charts, which I still have the screenshots to. I took it on my mobile phone, and that was the genesis, the origin of the Train the Trainer funnel, which ended up becoming very successful. You have nearly 4,000 trainers that have been certified, and it continues, to be a big success. That was also offered and seeded and story told and sold at the One Day to Greatness events, which also happened last year. So I've noticed that trainers especially, they love the result of the sale, but they hate the process of the sale. They're not good at it, And so on this masterclass, and I consider this a masterclass because it seems self-promotional, but if you're watching and you're still intending on staying here, I'm going to be seeding little action cards and action steps that you can take that I pulled from my podcast. Now, this is a Facebook Live, but the podcast is what I'm selling by seeding and storytelling, and I'm going to walk the walk as I do it and hopefully transfer some of that over to you so you can do it and change the way that you enroll people, because you deserve to generate more sales. Albert Einstein said nothing happens until something moves. I believe I know someone else said it, but nothing happens in business until something is sold. If you're a dentist, no person in the chair, there's nothing to drill. If you're a chiropractor, there's no adjustment if there's no patient on the table. And same with financial services. If there's no lawn care professional can help with that. And with a coach, a client, or a trainer, if you don't have that client that you've enrolled or someone who is with you has enrolled, then you can't really service them. So I've come up with a podcast after all these years. You know how they say the cobbler's kids' shoes have holes in them? Well, I'm the cobbler, and the cobbler's shoes have holes in them. I wrote a book back in 2006 called The Business Podcasting Bible with my good friend Paul Culligan. He's had many podcasts. He coaches podcasting. My first podcast comes out 12 years later on April 2nd. And the best part is there's no opt-in required. It's free. It's on iTunes, and it's how to get to the heart of 25 years of sales and marketing experience in 25 minutes, chunks week after week. So here's the action, okay, based on what I said. Many people who are watching now, if you're watching, you say, okay, what's seeding, what's storytelling? I'm not a very good storyteller, okay? Jack can tell stories. He's the king of storytelling, right, through Chicken Soup of the Soul. He and Mark developed that, and through Success Principles and any event you've ever been to. If you're a trainer of his, or if you've been to One Day to Greatness, the 5-day program, it used to be, I think, 14 days. You know, he knows how to tell stories. Well, I've been teaching this for 6 years. I haven't seen it anywhere else. To tell a story, rather than saying, hey, let me share a story with you, you dive right in, kind of like what I did. And here is the 6-step storytelling formula. If you want to take a screenshot, you can take it. And of course, you can get the replay by simply coming back here, thanks to Facebook. Now, here it is. If you can see this card, step 1 is, when did this thing happen? When did it happen? Well, I told you, Montreal, warm summer, 2016. Where did it happen? Montreal, right? In a mastermind room. What happened? I was there teaching sales, and I thought it was no big deal. I took it for granted, but everyone else was astonished that, wow, that's a different approach. To me, different doesn't matter. Does it work? Well, it does work, because I mentioned that as well. Who was involved? Who was there? I told you, Danny Iney, and there was another guy. His name is Michael Lovitch. He is you may not have heard of him, but he's the co-founder of Baby Bathwater Institute, which is a very famous digital marketing company. And he's the one who came up with the word all selling aside, because I kept telling people, it's not about selling. It's not about selling. He said, why don't you write a podcast, or why don't you do a podcast called All Selling Aside? So what a great name. I looked it up. It was available. So I registered the domain. This is 2016. And then 2 years later, that's how long it takes. I'm a slow learner with deep pockets. I decided to launch this thing. So that was step 4. Who was involved? How did it resolve? Well, it resolved by me realizing that seeding through storytelling is the new selling. That's how the whole thing resolved. That's the how. And then why is it relevant? Well, the why is last. Now, Simon Sinek, whom you know, has a book called Start With Why, not with storytelling. Because if you tell someone, here's why this is important, they're going to start pushing back. They're going to start resisting you. But if you dive into when it happened, where did it happen? What happened? Who was involved? How is it resolved? You know, the predicament that you were in, maybe. Like I said, I stumbled upon it. And then finally, why is it relevant to you? It's relevant if you're a coach, a trainer especially. That's why I'm here for Jack, because I'm scheming, I'm seeding, you know, I'm going to ethically influence Jack and his team for me to bolt on my seeding through storytelling conversion secrets program, but have it white labeled into the Train the Trainer process and online course, so that any trainer who's there and they can't get clients, all of a sudden selling becomes fun. Because some people don't even like selling, the word. They talk about enrollment, or I like you to play with us. What does that mean? You know, you're selling them. Okay, that's what you're doing. So it can be fun. And if you use this formula and you end with why, then when, where, what, who, how, and why, it's as simple as that. And the more texture you bring, the more color you bring into it. Like I said, it was warm summer. I said, hey, it's not fun to be in Montreal in the summer if you're driving, but in the park, it's nice. It gets more interesting. You can learn this formula in 10 minutes. It could take you a lifetime to master, like the game of chess or Othello, but that's like everything else that Jack teaches. So I'm hoping that that first action card is useful, and you see that this is not just self-promotional, it's selling you that this is easier than you think it is.